Anthony, good morning to you. I hope you can hear me all the way from over in Nigeria. We're going to talk about the study at the moment, but I would like to start the conversation as we focus on Child Protection Week, that still in 16 sub-Saharan countries, child marriage, children getting married, is still allowed. Just tell me about how that is viewed by someone like yourself and your organization.
Thank you for having me. Child marriage is viewed as a human rights violation. You know, it contravenes all the international convention as well as African Charter on Human Rights and Welfare of Children. We view it as human rights violations. Of course, there are so many factors that still make the practice remain difficult to end, including, say, it's been backed in some quarters by culture and religion, but again, there is no missing word. It's a human rights violation.
So it doesn't really surprise me then, Anthony, that when we look at Child Protection Week, that intimate partner violence is incredibly high, and also the likelihood of violence is very high, when already just by marrying a child that's underage, of course, you're violating their human rights. The respect from the man, in this case, towards a child is already gone by the fact they've married them. It's not very surprising that there's such incredibly high levels of violence.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on point. You know, when a girl marries at such a young age, they miss out on important investments like education that would empower them and make them be able to demand for their rights, or at least be able to, you know, earn enough resources to make them be part of decision-making in the family. So because they marry as a child, you know, they lose out on so many important investments for their own well-being and health. And it's not surprising that they are exposed to violence in such marriages. And besides that, they are also less likely to be able to seek help or get out of the marriage.
Let's talk about that help that might be available, bearing in mind in some of these sub-Saharan countries, many of these children who are married off come from either tribal areas, rural areas. There's all kinds of socio-economic issues associated with this. I don't imagine then, Anthony, that there's an incredible amount of support if, and I'm sure they would, a child bride, a child in a marriage wants to escape. I don't imagine that's very easy to do.
No, it's not very easy to do because, you know, like I said previously, it's culturally backed and in some quarters also supported by religion. So living is not an option for many of these girls. And even if they want to leave, there are no supports, especially in rural areas, like you rightly mentioned. That's why government needs to be alive to their responsibility and create support opportunities for girls that want to leave such marriages.
Anthony, in the last 30 seconds I have with you, what are you hoping comes out of this research? Obviously, very sad numbers to read the research into this, but what are you hoping an organization or a government, a religious body does with it? It's good and well for you and I to talk, but what would you like to see change off of the research you've done?
You know, first, I would like lots of people to interact with this article, this research, to again, you know, begin the conversation around issues of child marriage. But ultimately, my hope is that we look towards an Africa whereby children are allowed to go to school and enjoy and grow, you know, like normal children, and their rights are protected. And they are not just forced into marriage or allowed to willingly enter into marriage. That's the Africa I dream of, and I hope we will achieve, you know, in no distant time. But again, it begins with government being alive to their responsibility and ensuring that they protect the rights of children, as they have committed to in several of those international agreements.
In Africa, I think nearly everybody on the continent is dreaming for. I'm going to say thank you very much for doing this research. Hopefully it makes a difference. Anthony Idowu Ajayi joining us all the way from Nairobi in Kenya.